Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kashawn Hopkins. I'm an instructional trainer from Oklahoma Public School Resource Center. And I'm also here with Kurt Bernhardt. He is the technology director, and I'm here to talk about Google Slides, our Tech Talks. So this is week 2 of our Tech Talks. We're going to have more in the future. For right now, it's just me and Kurt, but at the very least, we're going to run through these, talk about it, get through a little bit of a recording here. I have a copy of the slides just in case anybody's interested in the future to take a look at it. So this is at t.ly/KA all that is case sensitive, so make sure that if you want access to that, you have all that there. Additionally, if you want to contact us, just kind of get the conversation going, getting the discussion flowing here, you can contact us at techteam@opsrc.net. So, just to keep the time going over here, I just want to go over kind of the schedule, the flow of how everything is going to go over here. I do want to talk about Google Slides, but I'm going to run it through all of this. So first, we'll do a little bit of introduction and theory. Start of the introduction, we'll get into the bit of the theory here, just to lay the groundwork of what are we trying to do here, why are we trying to do it, and basically how do we integrate technology in a way that is effective, that supports our learning goals here. Then we're going to go into some questions specifically about the tool. I'll cover about basically like what is the tool, what can it do for me, how do I access it. Next, I'll go over a couple of tool features and applications, and a lot of this will be built off of the theory that I talk about in a minute. And then I'll end out sharing a couple of goodies, some resources that I found in my research that I feel like are good to share, that I think will expand your learning if you are interested. Then a link to the evaluation, and then that at the end I would normally take questions, but it's just me and Kurt. So that's what I'm going to jump into right now. First of all, what are we learning? Our objective is, after this training, teachers will be able to integrate Google Slides in their classroom to help students achieve their learning goals and acquire 21st century skills. So I do want to break down this a little bit. I know Google Slides is a kind of a common tool that's used. I mean, it's built off of, it's based off of, Microsoft's PowerPoint. People are usually familiar with that. But there are lots of features in here that I want to highlight that I feel like really gives classrooms access to something transformational, something that can really support their learning goals and help students build on these skills that, careers, jobs, they just expect people to know. And so I want to help them out on here. So just in case, so we all have kind of the same vocabulary here, whenever I'm talking about 21st century skills, I am usually talking about these four. There are more out there. It's all released by the National Education Association, and these four over here, specifically communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And so I've got a couple of definitions down here. But for the most part, if students are working on these skills, using them in any way inside of their classroom, it's skills that they can use in any subject, outside of school, inside of school, and still be successful. And whenever you are, and I believe whenever you're introducing technology, it should have some kind of, it should be tied to some kind of learning goal. Simply introducing technology isn't going to solve any kind of problems unless it's building towards some kind of learning goal or building some kind of skill. And so just having this here, please keep this in mind. Additionally, if you are going to, once you've answered the question of why are we introducing technology, you want to ask yourself the question, how do we do it? And there's a bunch of different ways you can answer the question, but one of my recommendations is to use the SAMR model. This is a model that is on a very basic level, just helps you get an idea of how you can integrate technology in there. You can integrate technology to substitute it for something else that you're trying to do. You can use it to augment something that you're doing, modify a task in some way, or completely redefine a task and create something for your students to do that wasn't available before. And so I'm going to touch on all of these a little bit later, so please keep them in mind. Okay, now with the theory in there, I do want to talk about the specific tool in this particular tech talk, which has to do with Google Slides. So just in case anybody's unfamiliar, It's a presentation software. It's currently a part of Google Workspace, and it was formerly called G Suite. What it can do for your classroom, it's a good way that you can collaborate on slides. You can, of course, you can use it as a presentation software. It can be easily shared. You can add media in that, and I'll show a bit of those features in a little bit. The way that you can access it, you should be able to get through it through any kind of browser. Sometimes it comes installed on devices, but for the most part, if you have either this little Google Slides icon on a computer, or if you log into Google and click on the 3x3 dots in the top right hand corner of the home page, it should be one of the icons there, or you could visit slides.google.com. So just real quick for anybody, top right hand corner over here is those 3x3 dots. It's Google Apps, and you should be able to scroll down to Google Slides and click on it there. So just a bunch of different ways that you can get to it depending on what device that you're using. Okay, so I do want to highlight a couple of features on here. Of course, right now we're using Google Slides, so you've seen a couple of ways that you can just organize information, present it in a good way. I have, the slides on here, the colors, everything is formatted on here. I have an image on the bottom right-hand corner, but there's a lot of features in there that you can use very specifically with like different skills. I've separated them here, but they don't have to just be one skill at a time. Sometimes with very clever planning, you can mix these skills in together. But one of the features in Google Slides that I think highlights the communication skill is being able to comment on any and give feedback for any students. And this works really well for Google Documents as well, but you can do it on slides. If you highlight a piece of text and then right click that, and then one of the options about halfway down is comment. So it allows you to leave a comment on here. So I can leave a comment. So anybody that goes by these slides, they can see this comment. You can even tag if you have a specific name in there. Like if I wanted to tag Kurt and I wanted him specifically to see this comment, he would receive a notification, and then he would see the comment and he would be able to go to this specific slide. So this is a good way that you can direct these comments on here. I'm going to save this inbox a little bit there and just cancel that. And whenever people have access to those comments, they're able to reply back as well, so you can start a little bit of a dialogue on and just kind of build on a project here. Let me get rid of this. There's also, if you highlight this piece on the top right hand corner, if you click on this little text box dialogue symbol here, you can see a comment history. So this is where, ooh, I should have left it on there, hang on, so you see something. World. There we go. Yeah, on the top right-hand corner, you can click on that dialog box. That way you can see all of the comments, the history of all the comments that's over here. And so if you wanted to add any comments, you can do that from here, or you could adjust email notifications for your comments as well. And so this is a good way that you can have sort of a working document that a lot of different people can work with. Okay, so that's your communication. For collaboration, so whenever you are building in a slide like this, you can see whoever else is working in here. And Kurt, while I'm talking on this, do you mind if you access these slides real quick just to kind of show these in a minute? But for the most part, if you wanted to share these with your students or anybody that's working in here, it's as simple as creating the Google Slides, going to the top right-hand corner and clicking on Share, that big yellow button there. And you can type in anybody in here. If there are other people that belong in your network, they'll come in here as a suggested. I can just easily click here and add Kurt in here. Additionally, I can add what type of permissions I want him. If I want him to basically have all the permissions that I have, I can add him in as an editor. If I wanted him to just view, I think this is particularly good if you want to use Google Slides as like either replacement or supplement for like a textbook. I've seen people add in people as viewers. That way they don't mess with anything in there. And then you can add them in there as commenter. They can see everything. They can add comments, but they don't have the same powers as editor. So this is a good way that you can add people so they have access to this. All right, Kurt, were you able to access this slide here? So popped up on here, you can see that Kurt's in the document. On the top right-hand corner, we have him in a little bubble over there. I can even hover over it and see it's Kurt over there. And I can even see that he is looking directly on the same slide that we're looking at right now. So you can kind of see this as a working document, and you can work through this. Very nice. Thank you, Kurt. All right, you can even see him swap around in between the slides. So it's really nice. If you have multiple people on here, you have a bunch of little bubbles there. All right. If you want to encourage a little bit of critical thinking, a good way that you can do this, an activity, a very common one, and in fact this could be something I recommend that you do as kind of a good activity to get people into these and working with these Google Slides and getting comfortable with the interface, is you know, creating a page or creating like maybe a question and then giving enough slides or duplicating that same slide over and over to get a copy for everybody that you're working in the classroom, and then have them grab a slide and start typing in one each. And so so if I wanted to ask the question, like let me go and add one real quick. So I'm going to go to the top left hand corner, click on this little plus symbol to add the slide, and I'll just ask a question like how is everyone doing? And then I could duplicate that slide. You can either do that by right-clicking on the slide on the left-hand side, and then there's a duplicate slide button there. Or if you like hotkeys, you could do Control or Command D, and that will duplicate the slide there. And that way, if I duplicate the slide enough, maybe I have a class of 10 students, I'll copy 10 slides and say, okay, everybody put your name on the slide and then answer the question. So this gives kind of a space for all the students to work. Everybody has their own slide, and then they can see the feedback and see how other people answered the same question. So that is a kind of a quick way of doing that. And that's also a good way that you can have all the information from everybody, and you can start comparing slides there. So that's a good feature in there. And then finally, creativity. One of the really nice things about these slides is it's really easy to add things into here. Like an example, I've seen somebody use Google Slides to create like a daily journal. Like you have one slide deck per student, and then have like every day have the student just add a slide in there and then add something in there. Maybe they use that to like track their mood, or just have them describe their day, but just have them create something to where they're just expressing themselves, taking advantage of the technology here. And I believe one powerful tool for that is the insert menus. On the top left-hand corner, you have insert here. It's the fourth button over. And over here is just a robust amount of media that you can build in here and then embed it into a page. Like for example over here, if I wanted to take an image, I could take it from my computer, I could search the web, I can pull it from Drive, I could take a picture on a camera and do it real quick. So let's see, I want a picture of a dog. Yeah, there we go, that's a cute dog. And then insert it in there. Now I got a nice little picture of a dog here. Very cute. And I can adjust it a little bit. We have these dots in the corner here to where I can drag it all around, or I could rotate it around. Let's see, what else do I want to... I could do a little inbox. So once I adjust that option, and that's also a button up here in my toolbar, the little box with the T on the top left-hand corner. So if I highlight a little space, it creates a little space where I can start typing in here. This is a dog. I love his beautiful smile. There we go. So not too bad. And if I ever need to make adjustments to that, all of these, the toolbar here, the top right-hand corner of the toolbar is dedicated to formatting option. And you can see when I click off of the text, the toolbar will adjust depending on whatever I'm manipulating at the time here. So not only got images and text, you got audio and video. Definitely should take advantage of those as well. Like if I wanted to find a video about cats, baby. Yeah, there we go. And now I have a little embedded video. Even on the right-hand side, it's picking up on the fact that I'm manipulating a video that I'm putting in here, so I can make adjustments on here. Like, for example, this will play on if I click on it, or will this play automatically? Will this play like manual? I have to mess with it. Or maybe I only want to show one part of that clip. Maybe it's like an hour-long lecture, but I really only need like 30 seconds of a specific point. You can adjust this. So there's lots of little formatting options that you can use and change on here. So if you ever need that for the video, it is kind of like nested a little bit here. So what you'll have to do is click on the video itself, and on the, let me zoom in a little bit here, on the top in the toolbar, once again, it says format options on here, and that will bring that up again. But if you wanted to save space like I did just a second ago, you'll just click on the top right hand corner. There is an X button that you can click on, and it will close that. All right, looking at the time, got to move on a little bit here, but I do think if anything is worth perusing, it would be anything inside this menu. We got shapes, arrows, callouts, equations. We have tables you can make. You can build in charts, which is particularly useful if you're really savvy with Google Sheets. So it's a great integration between the different tools here. You know, you can build diagrams, word art, lines. I think this is just a cool place to just explore, especially if you're trying to do some of that journal options I talked about. There's lots of different ways for students to express themselves here. You can get real creative with that here. Okay, more quick swig of water. We'll keep on going. All right. So I want to talk about some applications here. So those are just a couple of features here that I do think is worth getting in here. Ooh, before I forget, there is a feature called add-ons, and there's some really nice ways that you can kind of modify the way that your Google Slides work, which I think I might have an example of that a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention it now before I forget. But yeah, let's talk about applications here for a moment. So I'm framing this under and using the SAMR model, so that's how do we use technology and how do we integrate it inside of our classrooms in a meaningful, effective way. So I got substitution, augmentation, modification, redefinition, and for anybody, if you've watched the tech talk that I did last week, I kind of framed these under different subjects. But these, I feel like, would apply to really any kind of subject that you have, doing a little bit of massaging here. So let's talk about substitution. Of course, Google Slides is a great, it's on the surface, it's a really great presentation software. You know, you can have your information on there. You can pull in text, you can pull in images, you can pull in videos. If you need it to link to something else, it works great with that. If you want to use it as kind of like a self-directed thing, maybe you could put all of your research all into one place and just have somebody click through some buttons and kind of guide themselves through it. So it's a real good way to just grab and purposely curate information here. And so I really do think that's a great substitution for just, you know, doing a report or doing some kind of presentation. It's a way that you can take advantage of the technology there. And of course, under augmentation, a recommendation that I have, an application for that would be a textbook replacement. I've mentioned that before, but, you know, comparing being able to build out a textbook and have all of this different media and being able to update it can make Google Slides a really powerful tool. And so an example, I have this on here, is a little something looks like this. It's like a chapter out of a history book. So on here you can see they got the text, they formatted it, they got it some images here showing about early industry and inventions, so people will be able to see this. They have links on there to get some contact information. You know, you got the picture, you got some text over here. You can click vote now. So it's a little bit of an interactive. So this is linking to a Google form. So it's like, after you read about this, do you think he's a hero or a villain? How do you explain, how do you justify that answer? So it's a way to build in interactivity in here. I believe, yeah, they have like a video on here, so asking some reflection questions while they read the video. So this is something that would be you know, you can't do this with a regular textbook, but this is something that you can do building into Google Slides. And there's lots of resources out there of things already built out. So yeah, if you feel like it's worth searching out there, looking for resources, maybe looking for some kind of textbook or a supplement to anything that you're doing in your class, it can be built out of Google Slides or Google Docs too as well. The next application is, and I think I've mentioned this before, but a research journal. Being able to have students, like for example, work inside a group and maybe have like each slide students are responsible for, and they have maybe one specific topic, and every student brings in kind of their own research. And you can, from there, that one activity, you can bring in commenting. You can look through someone's research and saying, oh, well, you did find that, but the journal that you found it from is not reputable. Maybe you could find something else. Or, oh, that's a really good resource. Do you think you could add in like the reference for that, making sure so if we ever need to look it up again, we can find it. So just being able to build something like that and take advantage of an entire class worth of students working on a project, or groups of students working for a project. And it's a good way for students to give feedback to each other, so they kind of have an idea of what they're looking for, and what's good research and what's research that doesn't make any sense. And so that's a good modification application there. And finally, for redefinition, a recommendation that I have is building stories or self-directed lessons with multiple paths. And so for me, choice stories have a special place in my heart, because I remember reading some of that stuff in the library. But the basic idea is that students have a project where they need to build a story and plan it out ahead, and then build out the slides, and then link the slides to each other. So, like for example, this redefinition, let's say I wanted to link this word SAMR. Maybe I wanted to give this presentation to somebody, but maybe at this point they may have forgotten what SAMR is, or I just want to give them help on, just as a reminder. What I can do is highlight this piece of text here, right-click it, and then go to link. Now over here you could link to like, you know, a website, YouTube video, something like that. But one of the first options is slides in this presentation. And so from here, I could link from slide to slide. I can click to the next one, or the previous one, the first, the last one, or I could pick a specific numbered slide here, and I actually don't remember. Yeah, slide 5. So here we go. Let's link that to slide 5. And then I click apply. So what that does is, if I click on that piece that is highlighted here and click its link, it will take me directly back to slide 5. And there's a way that you can link it in here to where, like, if you wanted to have a button or like an image serve as a button and link back to a page, you can have them do it. And so that's kind of like structurally how this works. And so I just want to give an example of that real quick. So this is built out of Google Slides. It's a treasure hunt. A student made this. So, you know, it builds into a story. You're traveling on a trip, on a ship, and then, you know, your boat crashes, and then you awake the next day. You know, you have a couple of choices here, and so if I click this first option, you know, something bad happens. I got to restart over. So I got to pick another choice. All right, now I have to figure out what kind of supplies that I want. You know, there's a nice little animation there. And so this is a way that you can kind of build this out. And this does require quite a bit of planning from your students, but it's a good exercise in building storyboards, you know, building with purpose, linking the slides together, putting information in here, building the story to make it interesting. So this is a pretty good example on here. And so that application is a little more involved, but if that's something that you feel like you want to try with your students, it's a really definite way to build a task that wouldn't be possible without using some of this technology here. And so I did add a little bit of a goodie here, a guide in here, which is actually a pretty good place to start transitioning into the end of this tech talk. I really do. If you've made it to this point, I really do appreciate you going through here. I hope you've learned something valuable, something you use that you can pull into your classroom. Even if you just use this in a very small way, at the very least, we've gotten the conversation going. And if this is something that you do want to keep on talking about, I'll make sure that we bring up the email at the very end here, so we have about 5 more minutes left. But I just want to highlight a few of the goodies that I have found here. Just to kind of build off what I was talking a second ago, we have Choice Story Guide on here, which is kind of like a step-by-step process on how to use this in your class, if this is something that you're interested in, and it even links back to the example that I brought a second ago. But it gives you an idea of how students should be planning this stuff out, and it's a good visual exercise, I think. But I do have slides dedicated for the specific tools here. For Google Slides specifically, something that you can definitely take advantage of for Google Slides is that there are a wild amount of templates. I know some places charge for it, but I think if you look hard enough, you could find templates that just work for you, that you can just edit and change it to however way you want to use it. Slides Mania is pretty good, I would say. It's not the only one out there, but it's a good one that you can just click it, find one that you like, start downloading from here. So it's quite easy. It's a matter of just opening up the slides and making your own copy, or downloading the PowerPoint itself. You have the Use Template button here on the top right-hand corner there. Great. And now I have a copy of this. But if you ever want to have to actually make your own copy, just in case you don't know, on the top left-hand corner, click on File. There's a section that says Make a Copy, and you can do it for an entire presentation or just select slides. So keep that in mind. Let's see. I'm not going to go over all of these, but additionally, I did mention add-ons and extensions. These are ways that you kind of modify your Google Slides, add in some more functions in here. Like, for example, Pear Deck, I know, is a very popular formative assessment tool. It's a way that you can build in questions for the most part, and just make your presentations a little more active in here. But there's a nice little list on here on really easy to add in add-ons and extensions that I think is worth looking at. I also want to include some links for SAMR, for the SAMR model that I have on here, if that's something that you want to build more into or see more examples on how they work. Here's a bunch of links on how you can take advantage of that. And then finally, my last slide over here. I just want to thank everybody for listening in. I appreciate you taking this time to learn a little bit more, particularly about Google Slides here. I do have a link for an evaluation. Even if you're watching the video, I suppose you can go ahead and you could access that link and make sure we know how we're doing over here. And we can use that to help make the future Tech Talks even better. And so this is T.ly/GGZ And remember, that is case sensitive. There we go. And just as a reminder, you've been listening to Kashawn Hopkins. Kurt Bernhard is also here. If you want to email either one of us, a good way to do that is through techteam@opsrc.net. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen here, you can see it. We have a couple of more of these, and hopefully we'll do some more in the future. So if you go to opsrc.net/techtalks, it'll look a little something like this. And you can see some of the other tools that we have here, and you can register for that as well. And if you also like what we're doing, go ahead and share. You can do it through any of the registrations, any links that I've shared, but we also have our social media buttons down over here that you can take advantage of. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you have a good day.